Cosmic Professional Gladiator. Author. I Eat Tomatoes. Subscribe to the Moon Policy YouTube channel. Translator. Moon Policy Editor. Moon Policy. Chapter 13. Evolutionary Method. It took Xu Jingming half an hour to read all 10 evolutionary methods. In fact, there were very few words. Each evolutionary method was mainly a complicated set of exercises that required virtual teaching. All 10 evolutionary methods were named after animals. The 5 evolutionary methods suitable for men were named: Black Tortoise Evolution, Heavenly Python Evolution, Shadow Leopard Evolution, Giant Bear Evolution, and Ferocious Tiger Evolution. One could guess the different tendencies of these 5 evolutionary methods from their names. Every evolutionary method has a compatibility score. Xu Jingming was a little surprised. The books labeled the person's compatibility score with the method. Black Tortoise Evolution, 71% compatibility. Heavenly Python Evolution, 98% compatibility. Shadow Leopard Evolution, 82% compatibility. Giant Bear Evolution, 91% compatibility. Ferocious Tiger Evolution, 93% compatibility. As for the 5 female evolutionary methods, his compatibility with them was less than 50%. The compatibility score is a result deduced from your actual body. It can be used as a reference, the cyan-shirted man said. In the end, you have to make a choice after practicing the evolutionary methods. In the game world, you can practice any kind of evolutionary method. Even if you make a lot of mistakes and become weaker or stronger from training, you can reset it to your body in reality, the cyan-shirted man briefed him seriously. However, there's no room for regret once you use it in reality. Once the evolutionary path is determined in reality, you can only stick to it. The same evolutionary path has to be selected in-game. Understood. Xu Jingming nodded slightly and asked, "These 5 evolutionary methods can treat my leg injury, right?" These 5 evolutionary methods can allow you to regenerate lost limbs. You just need to practice for a day or two to completely treat this small injury of yours, the cyan-shirted man said. Xu Jingming nodded slightly. The evolution of life was truly magical. This was the charm of technology. Then, Xu Jingming opened his personal interface and tapped on the virtual tutor for Black Tortoise Evolution. An illusory body appeared in the canyon and started practicing the first genetic evolutionary method, Black Tortoise Evolution, in front of Xu Jingming. Xu Jingming decided to experiment with them one after another, starting from the ones with lower compatibility. There's a requirement for the speed, strength, and rhythm of each move, and it also needs to be matched with my breathing. Xu Jingming found it very difficult the moment he started practicing. As the moves increase in speed, my breathing also gets faster. Xu Jingming matched his breathing with the tutors and felt pain in his heart. He felt his skin burn before finally reaching the halfway mark of the training. PFF'd. Xu Jingming couldn't help but spew a mouthful of blood. "You're already injured," the cyan-shirted man said. "This is worse than any training method I've used." Xu Jingming held his chest and tapped his personal interface, returning his body to its peak state. In the game world, he didn't have to worry about getting injured because he could recover to his peak state at any time. Training this can affect change in one's genes, eventually leading to a sublimation of life, the cyan-shirted man said. It's not surprising that the difficulty is high. This is why you have to master it in the virtual world. Again, Xu Jingming tried again, over and over again. The entire set of motions went from slow to fast, and his breathing became faster and faster. His heart became like a water pump that was given higher and higher intensity work. For various reasons, Xu Jingming failed time and time again. Until the 6th time, HMPH. When he finally warmed down, the breath he exhaled from his nose was blood-colored. It was blood. However, Xu Jingming ultimately completed the entire set of movements. Congratulations on achieving basic mastery of Black Tortoise Evolution. You succeeded after 6 tries. How impressive, the cyan-shirted man said. Xu Jingming sighed with emotion. He was a world-class martial artist. This meant extreme precision over the control of his body. Even he needed to practice 6 times before reaching basic mastery. If it were an ordinary person, how many times would it take? 100, 300. A combat strength interface has appeared. Xu Jingming was surprised to find a subsection below his personal interface, the combat strength interface. Player. Xu Jingming, Genetic Evolutionary Method. Black Tortoise Evolution, Basic 1%, less than a day of practice, still has room for improvement. Physique. 12 Average value for adult men who haven't learned the evolutionary method is 5. Technique. Temporarily none. Please proceed with actual combat as soon as possible to determine your skills. Basic combat strength. None. Please proceed with actual combat as soon as possible. Less than a day of practice, still has room for improvement. Xu Jingming looked at the line of text. In the game world, you don't have to train hard repeatedly like in reality. As long as you are certain that you will master it, you can upgrade it to the limits of your body, the cyan-shirted man said. Xu Jingming tried to click on Upgrade. Practiced Black Tortoise Evolution 3 times a day, with at least a 1-hour-long break in between. After 39 days of training, your body underwent a transformation and evolved, reaching a physique index of 39. After 51 days of training, your body evolved to its limits, and your physique index reached 53. If you want to continue upgrading your body, please raise Black Tortoise Evolution to the intermediate level. With just a simple tap, Xu Jingming felt his body transform. His chest and back became much wider and thicker, and he became much stronger. His arms and legs also became thicker, and his every move contained incomparably powerful strength. Xu Jingming picked up a pebble in the canyon and flung it. When he did so, he felt as if his entire body had transformed into a piece of industrial machinery. Its gears spun as he flung the pebble. Shoo! The pebble tore through the air, leaving behind a shockwave. It crashed into a distant stone wall and shattered it, leaving Xu Jingming somewhat surprised. Xu Jingming picked up another pebble and exerted some force with his right hand. The pebble shattered, and the debris gradually fell from the gaps of his fingers. I can become this in reality, Xu Jingming whispered. Just as the notification on your combat strength page states, as long as you practice thrice a day, your real body can be raised to this state in 51 days, the cyan-shirted man said. This is the evolution of humans. Can I choose any weapon or armor in this martial arts arena? Xu Jingming examined the many functions of the martial arts arena. He could choose weapons, armor, sparring partners, and battle backgrounds. There were many functions. Nearly all cold weapons in the history of Earth are here, the cyan-shirted man explained. Xu Jingming waved his hand, and a spear appeared out of thin air. Heavier. It needs to be a little heavier. The martial arts arena was specially designed to assist in cultivation, and the weight of the weapon could be freely adjusted. He stabbed out with his right hand and the spear tore through the air. Then, Xu Jingming held the spear with both hands and took a step forward. His thick left arm held the spear and pushed it forward. The spear turned into a blur and stabbed out more than 10 times, leaving several spear afterimages in the air. It feels weird using the spear. Xu Jingming looked at his arm, which was twice as thick as before, and realized that he was much stronger. This body is too clumsy. Reset my body to the physical body in reality. Xu Jingming lightly tapped, and his body rapidly changed, returning to his normal state when he first entered the game. He became thin again, and the leg injury returned to his body. The scars also returned. I'll try the next evolutionary method. Xu Jingming started the virtual lesson for Shadow Leopard evolution. Now, countless people around the world were seriously studying the evolutionary methods offered. On the training grounds, Xu Jingming learned the other 4 evolutionary methods at an astonishing speed. After learning it 5 times, he raised Shadow Leopard evolution to basic mastery. When the training time was raised to 3 years, Xu Jingming was much leaner than in reality and was extremely agile. He could finish running 100 meters in 5 seconds. After 3 attempts, he mastered Giant Bear evolution and Ferocious Tiger evolution. Giant Bear evolution had the greatest effect on the body. After raising it to the limits of his body, Xu Jingming's height increased to 1.98 meters, and he became extremely strong, akin to a bear on its hind legs. After reaching the limit of the body with Ferocious Tiger evolution, he became a little more muscular while standing at 1.85 meters. You mastered Heavenly Python evolution after just 1 try. As expected of the compatibility score of 98%. The cyan-shirted man sighed with emotion. Xu Jingming raised the Heavenly Python evolution. training time to 982 days on his personal interface, raising it to the limit of his body. He only increased in height by a centimeter, but his muscles were much tighter and filled with infinite tenacity. His spine was like a huge dragon that could easily direct his physical strength. I'll try using a spear. Xu Jingming stood in front of a rock wall, and the spear in his hand moved, leaving behind spear shadows. The speared IP tapped the canyon wall, and in the blink of an eye, he had thrust out more than 30 times. The hole in the wall formed a pentagram. Xu Jingming looked at the wall in satisfaction. The virtual world's inference is really impressive. Heavenly Python evolution is indeed the most suitable for me. Of the 5 evolutionary methods, Giant Bear evolution gives the greatest physical strength. Black Tortoise evolution gives the strongest physique. Ferocious Tiger evolution gives well-rounded strength, physique, and agility. Shadow Leopard evolution gives the greatest speed and agility. However, Heavenly Python evolution gives the best physical tenacity and is most suitable for me. I also had the easiest time practicing Heavenly Python evolution. I succeeded in one go, and my body's improvement was the most obvious. Xu Jingming nodded. When all of these basic mastery evolutionary methods were raised to their limits, only Heavenly Python evolution allowed his physique index to reach 63. Ferocious Tiger evolution reached 60, while the other 3 averaged around 50 plus. If he wanted to cultivate an evolutionary method for women with lower compatibility, his physique index would probably be even lower. As long as I don't start practicing in reality, I can reset myself in the virtual world at any time, Xu Jingming thought. I'll temporarily decide on Heavenly Python evolution and practice for a few days. Chapter 14. A True Weapon Battle. You can slowly explore the martial arts arena's functions, the cyan-shirted man said. I'm going to brief you next about the combat space in the game world. Xu Jingming nodded. Life Evolution's world was mainly divided into 3 main components: personal space, mission space, and combat space. Whoosh! The cyan-shirted man waved his hand, and an image appeared in front of him. 5 figures were choosing weapons and armor. The combat space allows 5 people to choose weapons and armor. They will subsequently enter the map and engage in a life-and-death battle with 5 members from the opposing team. One side wins when everyone from the other side is all dead. The cyan-shirted man waved his hand again as he spoke, and the scene turned into an ancient town. It was drizzling in the small town. A total of 10 people were scattered around the town. Swish! An arrow tore through the rain and shot at the enemy. The enemy hiding on the roof sensed the disturbance, but the arrow was so fast that the enemy didn't have the time to react other than turning his head. The arrow pierced through the enemy's head, and the moment it did, the enemy turned ethereal and dispersed, leaving the map. Die! A valiant man ran over to the archer who had shot the arrow while throwing his short spear. He repeatedly threw out one short spear after another. On his back were 2 quivers of short spears. The archer was so frightened that he shot his bow and arrow back as he fled. It was obvious that his aim wasn't accurate at all. In his panic, he failed to touch the other party. Halfway through his escape, he was stabbed in the chest by a short spear. His leather armor was penetrated, and the archer turned ethereal and dispersed. All of you only know how to attack from afar. How boring. A stout 2.1 meter tall man wearing heavy armor that only revealed his head sat in the middle of the town. He held a wine jar and drank as his voice echoed throughout the town. If you have the guts, come fight me one-on-one. You silly bear, I'll fight you. A female swordswoman in red light armor strode out. The scene of metal meets flesh combat. Arrows, short spears, axes, spears, swords, made Xu Jingming's heart race. Weaponry combat. The most dangerous kind of combat in his first 20 years of life, was the scene in front of him. There are all kinds of safety measures in real-life weaponry combat. How can one fight to their heart's content? Xu Jingming was thrilled. This was the most suitable stage for him. The combat space allows 5 teammates to fight the other 5 opponents with weapons, the cyan-shirted man said. You can choose heavy armor, but your movement will be greatly affected. Choosing light soft armor will result in weak defense. You can decide on what suits you best. Long-range attacks, melee attacks, ambushes, the cyan-shirted man smiled and said, because the game has just begun, their combat standards are relatively weak. This battle in front of us is already quite a good fight that was live streamed, but there are still many problems. When it's 5v5, what's most important is teamwork. Of course, if you are strong enough, you can wipe out all 5 people yourself. That would be impressive. The cyan-shirted man smiled and said, but high-level combat will only be composed by the best experts on Earth. Weaponry combat techniques, combat strategy, and teamwork are all very important. Xu Jingming nodded. 5v5. There's number 1v1. Not yet. The cyan-shirted man said, this virtual game's core game mode is to have 5 people team up and fight with cold weapons. Xu Jingming understood, but his eyes burned. Every professional gladiator yearned for such a cold weapon brawl the most. Moreover, the best part was that a successful kill in-game would only result in the loss of a round. Every player is divided into different levels depending on their strength, the cyan-shirted man said. From weakest to strongest, it's Starry Sky, Silver Moon, Radiant Sun, and finally Divine. A Starry Sky player is a newbie. The basic combat strength threshold for Silver Moon players is 150. The basic combat strength threshold for Radiant Sun players is 400. The basic combat strength threshold for Divine players is 1000. There are 2 ways to raise your level. The first method is to max out the stars for the prior level and reach the basic combat strength threshold, allowing you to advance. The other method is to attain 120% of the basic combat strength threshold to participate in the preliminaries. After the preliminaries, you can directly attain the new level. For example, a new player's basic combat strength is 480. He can participate in the Radiant Sun preliminaries in his first fight. Once he passes, he will immediately be a Radiant Sun player. There's no need for him to slowly rise up the ranks from Starry Sky, the cyan-shirted man explained. Xu Jingming nodded slightly and looked at his personal combat strength interface. Player. Xu Jingming. Genetic evolutionary method. Heavenly Python evolution, basic 5%, 982 days of practice. No room for improvement. Physique. 63. Technique. Spearmanship LV. 271%, footwork LV. 211%. Basic combat strength. 756. My spearmanship and footwork. Xu Jingming was a little surprised. When you were practicing your spearmanship at the martial arts arena, the virtual game automatically determined your spearmanship and footwork, the cyan-shirted man explained. How is the basic combat strength of 756 counted? Xu Jingming asked. The stronger the body, the higher the physique index. Technique. Represents all kinds of combat techniques. A strong body coupled with powerful combat techniques determines one's basic combat strength, the cyan-shirted man explained. Xu Jingming nodded slightly and looked at spearmanship on the interface. He was confident in his spearmanship. A top 10 spearmanship in the history of the world is only at LV. 2. 71%. Spearmanship can only be improved slowly through actual combat training. It's not that easy. On the other hand, I've only practiced Heavenly Python evolution once. There's still a lot of room for improvement. Xu Jingming started practicing again. He repeatedly practiced Heavenly Python evolution. The game guide, the cyan-shirted man, stood silently to the side. After practicing for some time, Li Miao Miao extends you an invitation. He suddenly received a notification. Xu Jingming stopped. He was a little tired from practicing, so he tapped gently and accepted the invitation. Whoosh! Xu Jingming appeared on a beach and saw a beautiful building in front of him. Li Miao Miao walked barefoot on the beach and smiled. Jingming, how is this? This island is mine. How much did it cost? Xu Jingming asked with a smile. 100,000, Li Miao Miao said. I specially chose a small island. Otherwise, it would be even more expensive. It's been 6 hours since we entered the game, so you should have figured out most of the game, right? Have you watched the live broadcasts? Li Miao Miao asked. Not yet, Xu Jingming said. He had been seriously practicing Heavenly Python evolution. As a professional gladiator, it was very normal for him to spend hours practicing his stances and various moves. Heavenly Python evolution was much more powerful than any stance. It fundamentally changed the muscular and skeletal structure, as well as one's order in life. His lifespan could even be doubled, so he was naturally fervent and focused. You have to watch the live broadcast. Li Miaomiao brought Xu Jingming to the viewing platform. A large number of live broadcasts were broadcasted on the viewing platform. The live broadcast is very popular, Li Miaomiao said before tapping open one. An elder sat there and spoke in a composed and confident manner, but there were countless seats below. At this moment, hundreds of people were listening. Xu Jingming and Li Miaomiao appeared out of thin air and sat in two spots. With a whoosh, some members of the audience would disappear. People would come and go, a very normal sight. The elder sat on the podium and said, "Human society changes every time there is a technological change. This is also the time when many people can change their fate, and this time, the birth of a virtual world game will change things even more thoroughly than in the past." For example, live broadcasts. In the past, live broadcasts were about watching videos. Now, I'm the one speaking here on stage while everyone is listening from below. We can even interact in close quarters with each other. The martial arts arena allows for any setting. It can be set to a study, a stage, or a concert hall. This will completely revolutionize the live broadcast market and the education market. This is an extremely extensive industry, the elder said. Let's go. Li Miaomiao disappeared into thin air with Xu Jingming, while other players entered the live stream. In another live broadcast, Xu Jingming and Li Miaomiao appeared out of thin air. They were sitting in empty seats, and hundreds of players were watching a battle. There was snow in front of them. In the snow, 10 people were fighting to the death with cold weapons. We can watch the battle outside the snowy battlefield. We can use magnification and zoom in on the battle scene, Li Miaomiao said. Xu Jingming tried the function, and he quickly zoomed in on one of the battle scenes. When he zoomed in close, it was like he was 3 meters away from someone else's fight. Clang! A woman blocked an axe with the shield on her left hand and stabbed the sword in her right hand into her enemy's throat. The enemy turned ethereal and dissipated, leaving the map. How exciting! Xu Jingming was surprised. The World Martial Arts Tournament had nothing so thrilling. This is what I call a live broadcast. Li Miaomiao sighed with emotion. Listening to songs will now be like listening to a singer live. When attending class, it's like sitting in a lecture hall and listening to a teacher give a lecture. Watching a fight is akin to being right there and watching up close. Thanks for listening. Don't to subscribe to Moon Policy.